And that, folks, is all we have for today in local news. Let's turn it over to Rose in the Everglades for the weather report.
Thank you, Hayden. Hi, this is Rose Hunsker reporting live from Everglades National Park. Today I'm going to be talking about the climate and weather of this area. Now today we've got some interesting weather. It is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, partly sunny and partly cloudy. Now, there's been some significant climate change in this ever-evolving national park. In the past million years, continuous glaciers spread from the poles, submerged the Florida Peninsula in water, then retreated, and the cycle began again. After the glacial period, the sea level had raised so much in the area that the water could not drain fast enough. In addition to the rising sea level, the temperature in the Everglades has become much more hot and humid. Now, there has been lots of physical evidence left behind from the glacial period, like limestone. Limestone lies underneath the Everglades and is made up of changing beds of hardened sea bottom and freshwater mud from when the Everglades was underwater. Now look around you, and as you can see and hear, this place is blooming with wildlife. But because of the unique temperatures in the Everglades, these plants and animals have to adapt. Many birds in the area have adapted by nesting and feeding their babies during the dry season, since all the water dries up and the fish are moved into a much smaller area and the birds feed on them. Also, due to rain and harsh temperatures, orchid flowers absorb water very fast in their stems and store it to live on during hot and humid times. Alligators also make gator holes where they nest to protect themselves from the extreme hot and cold temperatures. Hello again. As you can see, we are now in a hardwood hammock with lots of shade from the gumbo limbo tree. Now back to the weather. As you can see from the graphs I have made, the lowest average temperature in the Everglades is 54 degrees Fahrenheit in January. The highest average temperature is 92 degrees Fahrenheit in August. The highest temperature ever recorded was 98 degrees Fahrenheit in 1998, and the lowest was 29 degrees Fahrenheit in 1989. In the precipitation graph, June has the most average rainfall of 9.7 inches of rain, and December has the least amount of 1.3 inches of rainfall. A fun fact about the precipitation of the Everglades is that it receives 60 inches of rain per year, so in this park, part of the year is very rainy. Did you know that there are only 2 seasons in the Everglades? Well, the 2 seasons are called the wet season and the dry season. The wet season occurs during mid-May through November. The dry season occurs during December through mid-May. During the summer, or the wet season, the high temperatures cause many thunderstorms, and it is also the Atlantic hurricane season, which presents very dangerous and destructive. During the dry season, or the winter, the weather is much cooler, and it receives 1/4 of its average rainfall. The rainwater in the dry season dries up so fast, it has hardly any time to leave any behind. During these seasons, there are many disasters that present dangers in the Everglades, like fires and droughts in the dry season, and floods, hurricanes, thunderstorms, and tropical depressions in the wet season. Also, due to climate change, a very big ongoing hazard in the Everglades is the wilder weather, also known as hurricanes and thunderstorms. These natural disasters get energy from warm water, which is plentiful in the Everglades. They're getting stronger and more constant due to global climate change. Hurricanes and tropical storms are increasing flooding and creating a lot of damage to the Florida coastline. But there are ways to lessen hurricanes in places. For example, burning fossil fuel makes air and water warmer, so if we don't burn as much fossil fuels, the water in the air won't be as warm, and so won't give energies to these natural disasters like hurricanes. Now, as a visitor, there are many ways to be safe and protect yourself from the dangers of the Everglades. First off, you'll be needing to wear the proper attire. I am demonstrating what to wear. You will need light-colored clothing, sunglasses, a hat to block the sun, and you'll most definitely be needing to wear closed-toed shoes, especially in this park. Actually, that gentleman over there is exempling what not to wear. There are also many things to do to avoid these potential dangers. During the summer, avoid coming to the park when our weather channel says that there are hurricanes, and always be close to a covered area because the weather in the Everglades can be unpredictable. Always wear sunscreen for protection. And always bring the proper weather gear like umbrellas, especially during the wet season. A visitor will also need the proper first aid treatment like afterbite cream and mosquito spray for your mosquito bites, especially during the wet season since most of the mosquitoes are out and about during that season. Now, it is also a good idea to bring Band-Aids and antibiotic treatment in case of slipping and falling when it's wet or in case of an animal attack more during the wet season. Also, water and allergy things will be necessary, especially during the dry season because of all the warm weather and the plants. You will also need to be aware of the special seasonal services that are available in this park. There are many hurricane alerts and more camping available in the dry season. Chiquita entrance is closed and Flamingo Lodge has not been open due to floods and other weather occurrences during the wet season. We've got a special guest today, Mr. Greg Reed. Now, what is your biggest concern about the weather in the Everglades?
Well, my biggest concern about the weather in the Everglades is that over the next 10 years, what we expect to experience is a reduction in rainfall.
Okay.
So here in the summertime, we get about 60 inches of annual precipitation. That's about this much rain.
Yeah.
Falls over the Everglades May through October. Now in the future, over the next 10 years,
Yeah.
our climatic models show that we might get less rainfall. And the Everglades is called the River of Grass.
Yes.
And the River of Grass, it all comes from rainwater,
Yes.
and that basically feeds the alligators and the wading birds, and all the life here in the Everglades is based on that rainfall. So if we
Yeah.
have less rainfall in the future, that's going to it's going to negatively affect the ecosystem. So that's our biggest concern right now.
Okay. I hope you've been well educated on the weather and climate of Everglades National Park, and the next time you're in South Florida, be sure to visit.